Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining today. I'm Danny. I'm the master of ceremonies today. I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Where are you guys located? Hit it in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. I always like that. And let's throw a wrinkle in this time. How cold is it where you're at? Tampa, nice. Omak, I'm probably not saying that right. Washington, 73 degrees. Must be nice, Tampa. All right, that's a little bit closer to where I'm at here. Oh, Nova Scotia, right on. Akshay is in Toronto. People in Nova Scotia would say that he's not really in Canada. We'll give it a few, we'll give it another minute or two for folks to join. Thanks so much for making some time for us today. Normally, our webinars are produced by my buddy Chase, but we're so happy to announce that Chase's wife is in labor and delivering their new baby. So I apologize for not having some cool intro music laid in here in the beginning and the slick production value that Chase brings. He's sorely missed, but we're super excited to have another Decisions baby joining here soon. I'll just give it one more minute, everybody. Thank you again so much for making some time to hear about our customer lifecycle series and how we're using ChatGPT. And normally this is where Chase fades down the music and I start talking again. So welcome, everybody. My name is Danny. I'm with Decisions. It's my buddy Akshay. Welcome to the latest in our series for automating the customer lifecycle. This one, we're going to focus on automating ChatGPT for internal team handoffs. Thanks so much for joining us. Oh, hey, there's two handsome devils. Great headshots. I really need to update mine. Again, Akshay is in Toronto, non-Canada for some of our listeners today. And that's funny. And I'm the analyst relations manager for Decisions. So I talk to analysts like Gartner and Forrester and Everest and educate those folks on our platform. Akshay is a senior sales engineer with Decisions. How long have you been with the company, Akshay?
Hey Danny, I've been with Decisions for almost 3 years now.
Right on. That's right. We started right about the same time. I think we still have the same headshots from that day.
Yeah.
So anyway, a couple of plugs before we get started. We're getting ready to have a live training event at our newly renovated world headquarters in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the best place on earth. It's a 3-day event where we have a beginner track for customers that are new to Decisions and a master class for those with at least a year of experience. We'd love for you to attend. You can sign up on our website at decisions.com/events. It's a great opportunity to meet with our architects and engineers and developers and customers and prospects and learn about new use cases and interesting new ways to use the platform. Another egregious plug being that I'm now the manager of analyst relations at Decisions. Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. They're a global advisory and consulting firm that focuses on helping clients in achieving business transformation goals with strategic business and growth and advisory services. And we were recently acknowledged in their 2020 digital decisioning platform, Sparks Matrix. We did really well, highlighting the functionality and the power of the decisions rules engine, which is really at the heart of what we do. So check that out for sure. It's on our webpage. Just scroll to the bottom and all of our analyst stuff is there. So as we dive in today, we're definitely going to save some time for Q&A at the end, but you don't have to wait for that to ask your questions. Use the Q&A or the chat functions in Zoom to submit questions at any time, and we'll seek to answer them as they come in. We've got some of the other folks from our sales engineering team, and I'll try and weave some into the conversation as we go along as well. just a quick gloss over of the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about the customer lifecycle. What is it? What does it mean at Decisions? We'll talk about Decisions. I'll give you a brief introductory look at what the Decisions platform does. And then we'll talk about our OpenAI module, which we released last year, and some of the really innovative ways that we're already using it internally. And then specifically, we'll focus on how we're using it for team handoffs. We'll actually demo that process and answer all of your questions. So the customer lifecycle refers to the process of how people become aware of a company and their product. They decide to buy that product and ideally become a lifelong customer of that company. And the process at Decisions is made up of 5 stages: reach, acquisition, conversion, retention, and loyalty. Your customer journey might be different, but we're simply highlighting where our ability to use ChatGPT to streamline this process and increase its efficacy. We've already done a bunch of webinars in the series, and they're available on our website. These are the ones that are upcoming, and some of the ones in the past. And the ones here in red are ones that are available on the website that you could go and watch to catch up. Check those out at decisions.com/customer lifecycle. Our next webinar is the automated Excel reporting using ChatGPT. That's coming up Thursday, February the 29th. And following that one, it will be risk scoring your customers using ChatGPT. So check out all our events at decisions.com/events. So no more plugs. Let's get into Decisions. Decisions is a no-code software application development platform. It gives regular business users, professional developers, IT people, all the same tools to be able to build software visually without writing a single line of code. And these are the features of the platform. The first is our rules engine. It's enterprise class, it can run millions of transactions a day. And if you can write a sentence in standard English or fill out a spreadsheet, you're fully qualified to build the logic for any application completely visually. It's data aware. It's self-validating. It's giving you feedback as you build rules. It's really powerful. The second feature is our workflow manager. So if you're used to platforms like Visio or Lucidchart, the design and build experience is very similar. We've built a custom code step library of over 5,000 steps, and you simply drag and drop these custom code steps from our toolbox onto a canvas to assemble applications. You connect the steps, and it's, again, self-validating, coaching you as you're building, giving you feedback, and you can debug those workflows right in the same studio without compiling code and shipping it off to a test platform because there is no code. The third feature is process mining. We give you tools to be able to analyze processes that you build in Decisions, but also from other applications to identify bottlenecks in processes or applications, or the least expected path that occurs in those processes and applications. The fourth element is our integration layer. Decisions is an open API platform, which means we talk to all modern software platforms. Additionally, we come with 70 or so pre-built modules for the most common business applications that are out there, things that you're probably already using in your business today: your CRM systems, your ERP systems, financials, HR systems, you name it. Decisions can talk to them and then leverage these tools to get work done. And the final element is our interface designer. So we give you a full front-end tool set that's completely visual that allows you to build really unique customer interfaces and experiences through things like web pages, portals, landing pages, dashboards, and reports. The 3 top use cases. The first one is that pure business rules or decisioning application. Our rules engine gives you a place to centralize business logic and then expose that logic to business users to edit and maintain using graphical design tools. This gets the logic out of stored procedures, web pages, or custom code and puts it in a location that can easily be changed and maintained without diving into the code. The rules engine, it's enterprise class. It runs millions of transactions a day across thousands of rules in areas like medical claims processing, insurance underwriting, and mortgage processing. The next use case is what we call extend and expand. It's very common when we work with a customer that they already have some major out-of-the-box projects that need to be part of their automation solution. This can be CRMs, ERPs, databases, or other products that are built to handle a part of the process. Decisions is designed to integrate with these existing out-of-the-box solutions and automate the special processes that these systems don't do well. Things like special pricing, packaging, shipping, or even more importantly, human-in-the-loop approval processes. We do this several ways by integrating with your existing system landscape through the out-of-the-box integrations that I just mentioned. But most importantly, we give you the ability to connect to anything via that open API layer. If you have a specific system that you're wondering about, let us know in the chat. We could probably answer that question live for you. We could definitely connect you with an engineer to figure that out for you. Taking the previous step, even a step further, we act as an orchestration layer between different applications. So if you have several applications that you have users and data in, you can use decisions as kind of a middleware to bring data from one application to trigger an activity for a user in another application, or even populate an outcome in yet another. And the most common use case for us is to act as that orchestration layer between various software applications or services, and then engage end users in workflow that cross those application boundaries. So thanks for your patience during my introduction. One final plug, if you want to see more, please sign up for a demo on our website or email us at sales@decisions.com. We'd love to connect you with one of our sales engineers like Akshay. We'll spend an hour showing you how you could use this no-code software application development platform to build automations and applications to make your lives easier. You'll see under the hood today, but the best way to do it is to do it in a demo where you can ask questions one-on-one with one of our brilliant sales engineers. So we released our OpenAI module last year, and we've been off to the races doing all sorts of exciting things with it internally and are starting to have customers come to us to learn about the different possible use cases for leveraging AI in their businesses. So we released our OpenAI module last year, and it's available in the studio. We'll actually show you where you find it in there. But since then, we've been doing lots of really interesting things. And today we're going to talk about how we're leveraging it specifically for internal handoffs. Akshay and I, before I became the analyst relations manager, worked hand in hand with Akshay and other sales engineers inside of our organization. And, one of the greatest challenges that I found as an account executive was keeping track of all of the information that I gathered during the sales process. And then I struggled to take that information and transmit that knowledge on to the next team, into professional services, into client success, into customer support. Because I'm old and I write everything down in a Moleskine notebook. I have them for every client. It's incredibly challenging, especially as I get older. My memory is terrible. My handwriting continues to get worse. So how did that affect your job, Akshay, when we were working together? My lack of being able to capture all of the data that I learned in the sales process.
Yeah, so this particular use case that we'll see today will kind of help you understand how we can connect to various systems that is holding data about the customer, the project that we have done for them, and kind of put that in a structured format so different teams can consume it. Now, that's what we're going to see today. But in my team, in day-to-day life of our sales engineering team, we use ChatGPT, we use AI as part of our workflow that we run. So a couple of examples that I would like to quote here is, one is the call summarization. So whenever we are having calls with our existing clients or our prospective clients, we have like hourly discussion or sometimes even more. And we seldom don't take notes. And what the system that we have built helps us do is it kind of helps us build a summary of the whole conversation that happened. And not only the summary, it also gives us insight, like what were the pain points discussed from the clients or the prospect side? And what kind of solution are they looking for? And we kind of see how we would be a right match. And it also tells us, how we can coach ourselves. It also tells us how we can improve in our calls and some of the other insights that helps us give a score to that call. That's one use case we use every day. The other one that we use is we have created a Slack chat bot by integrating it with ChatGPT. And what it does is we ask it questions. Now, as I'm on this call, I can actually ask question to ChatGPT if somebody asks me about some technical question about decisions. So what that chatbot does for me is I just ask a question, it gives me answer back right away. And this
Mhm.
has been enabled by creating a workflow that kind of connects with various systems. It could be Slack, which kind of acts as an interface. It
Mhm.
connects with decisions, which actually orchestrate every tool that's being used. And finally, the ChatGPT, which helps us to kind of decipher the vectorized data and kind of gives us back the format which we can read. So there are a lot of use cases that we use in our day-to-day basis, Danny, and this is one of the recent one that we have added to our internal toolkit.
Yeah, I love that. The all of the things that we learn along the way of the customer life cycle needs to be known by everybody in the organization to serve that client the best. And the old way that we were doing it, Danny's notebook and just listening to calls without doing this summarization just wasn't effective, right? It's like the worst game of telephone that you could possibly imagine, because there's so much that needs to be collected to make sure that we ensure the success of a new customer when we onboard them. So for instance, as it moves from the sales team and into our professional services team, we offer what's called Architecture Week, where we sit down with a new client and examine the first use case that they want to tackle with the Decisions platform. We actually build a requirements document for that first use case and essentially produce a cookbook on how to get there. And lots of different artifacts are created during that first cycle, architecture artifacts, Scrum meeting stuff, UAT testing artifacts, go live artifacts, and all of the meeting notes and summaries that go along with that before it moves on to the customer success team, right? So the stakeholders above the providing, product roadmap, admin and finance, frontline support people are taking that data as they onboard that customer to ensure that all of the data that's captured along the way and added to by each team becomes part of a greater case to provide really a 360 view of that customer as we engage with them through the life cycle to ensure that they are successful from the start. Let's talk a little bit about how we do that, Akshay. Let's talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, sure, Danny. So in this webinar series, we've been, using and leveraging ChatGPT to automate a lot of processes inside the organization. The one that we are looking today is to kind of create handoff document for internal teams. So once the project is done, those internal teams can take that insight and use it when they have interactions with their customers at a later stage. So
Mhm.
what you see on this slide is basically the solution design for this use case that we have built. So what happens is, when we are having interactions with clients, we are generating a lot of data, which could be in the form of notes we are taking during the call, which could be in terms of the CRM data that is contained in the CRM system, or it
Mhm.
could also be the transcripts that are being generated as we are talking. So even in this webinar, as we are talking through, we are saving all the transcript in Gong, which is a sales tool that helps us to kind of monitor our sales calls and kind of keep records of everything that we do. So what we do, first of all, is we extract all that data from different systems. So decisions can easily connect with any external system. It could be through a database connection, or it could be through an external API. So we
Mhm.
first get all that transcripts. And then we kind of push that into the ChatGPT model, which is the large language model, and it runs the analysis. Now, the analysis that happens is on the basis of questions that we want to answer, and ask ChatGPT about those questions. So one classical example could be, if I'm having a talk with my client, I would want to understand what are their pain points. What are the critical things that are very crucial for them in order to make this project very successful.
Mhm.
So I would ask ChatGPT, from this call, from this transcript, please provide me all the critical points that were discussed. Now that can act as one question, and you can ask several questions that will help you to kind of take some insights at the later stage of the life cycle of a customer. So that's what happens at the analysis stage. And
Mhm.
once we have received the data from ChatGPT, we kind of transform that into something structured. In
Mhm.
this case, you would see we would create an extensive PDF document, which will have all the important questions, all the highlights of the call that would help you understand and become more aware of that project and also the client. And once we have that collected, the last thing that happens is either you can download that file or you can send that to different stakeholders within the workflow as it's connected. So this is the end-to-end solution, how it looks like, and you would really enjoy how this works and how these different pieces come together in order to achieve this use case on decisions.
Awesome. Why don't you show us?
Yeah, sure.
Let me stop sharing and you can actually show us what this process looks like in decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick check this, Danny, if you can see my screen, okay?
I can see it. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, awesome. Now, before I go into the actual use case and the project that we have built for today's webinar, I want to quickly talk about, decisions as a tool. And when you log in as a user, what do you see? What do you encounter in this tool? So what you're seeing right now is Decision Studio. This is the place where you can log in as a technical user or even as a non-technical user to create your projects. Now, those projects can be of different patterns. You can automate your business processes using our workflows, or you could help your organization or your clients create scoring engine using the rule-based workflows that we build in decisions. So you can pretty much automate anything on this tool. And the way we do it is by using the graphical user interface designers that decisions come with. So there's no code involved. All you would interact with are these designers. You can create workflows. You can create rules that will help you govern what happens in those workflows. You can create forms, which can act as a UI for your application. Now, this UI can be exposed to the internal users or external users where they can enter some data, review some data, update, delete. All those things can happen through a UI. And then we create extensive reporting and decisions. Now, when your rule engine is running or when your workflow is running, our workflows would be creating a lot of data. Now, some would be contextual. It could be about the actual use case. And it can also be about the metadata, how much time each step is taking, how much time is somebody taking to work on a task. So all that metadata also can be generated and reported to whoever would like to consume it. And then finally, we can connect with any external systems, as I mentioned before. All that decisions would need would be an API endpoint. Once we have that and we have the credentials for that API, we can easily connect to that without writing a single line of code. Now, these designers that I just talked about, these 5 designers that you see, are what that makes decisions a no-code automation platform. And these right here are some of the modules that decisions come out of the box with. Now, when I say modules, you can also see them as external connectors. In simple terms, these are the tools that decisions connect with as part of the workflow. And as you can see here, OpenAI, AI Google Vertex, AI Commons. So as the developments are happening in the AI space, we kind of adopt them and bring that into our tool. So our workflows can also include those different stages that involve AI to process some data.
Yeah, regardless of model, we can connect to all of them. Isn't that right, Akshay?
Correct. Yeah, these are the ones that are highly used, but as I mentioned, usually these AI models can be exposed through certain API. So when ChatGPT came at start, so they came up with their own documentation how the external systems can consume them. And
Hmm.
once a system, which is an AI system, can expose itself, we can easily reach out to them, whether it's at Google, Microsoft, or it could be your individual proprietary AI model in your organization exposed through API too. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. So this was a quick overview of Decision Studio. This is where we build projects using these designers. And you would notice the project that we have built for today's webinar, which is to create a handoff document for internal teams that has also been built on the same system. Now I'm going to switch my tabs here and go into executing that process so you can see what we have been talking about so far in the last 23 minutes. So in decisions, when we build projects, you can also give them a face. You can also give them a head so that somebody can go and look at it and trigger different workflows or the processes which have been built for them. So what you're seeing right now is not a PPT, it's a dashboard which has been created on decisions. And you can notice that by looking at the URL at top. So this is where my decisions instance is running. which is salesinternal.decisions.com. So you can spin up decisions in your own local premise, or you can also run that on cloud, or you can also take our help in running decisions instances on our cloud. So there are different ways you can run that, and infrastructure wise, how you can place decisions in your overall stack. Now, what you're seeing here is a dashboard, which is again created by drag and drop. When we start building these, dashboard, these forms, we start from a blank slate. It's going to be like a blank paper, and then you decide what do you want to see on that dashboard. In this case, there's a label here. I have a nice background, a couple of logos, and I have a button here. Now, when I click on this button, it's actually going to initiate the process. And the process that we will look at today is, again, I'm saying, is for creating a handoff document for internal teams. And the moment I click it, it'll actually start executing that process, which is running behind that form. And the first thing any user will see here is a form. And this form will show them the list of clients that they can choose from for which they would like to generate that handoff document. Now, the list that you're seeing here is 100% dynamic. Now, you can connect this list with your own CRM system. So every time you add a new client, this list will automatically update itself. And we are directly connected with that CRM system. In this case, it's Salesforce, but you can have your own CRM system like Dynamics or HubSpot, whatever you use, and decisions can easily connect with that. Now, what happens is I'm just going to click on the client for which I want to generate that handoff document, and I would click submit. Now, the moment I do that, it's going to run that process. It's going to call different systems. It's going to churn the transcripts, all the data related to the client and the project calls we have had. And at the end, it's going to give us a nice structured document. Now, I can run that from this UI. But in this case, I'm going to go into another way of running this, which is what we call as a debug mode in decisions. And the reason I'm coming here is so that you can see all the stages the process will run through one by one in a graphical user interface. And the screen that you see here is a designer in decisions, and we call it a workflow designer. And as the name says, it helps you to build your workflows. Now, you can solve as many workflows, create as many workflows in one decisions instance. Now, those workflows can be for one particular team, or it could be for several teams across the department. And this is the workflow which we have built for this particular project, which is to generate internal handoff document for internal teams using AI. And this right here is what a workflow looks like. These little icons that you see are called steps in decisions, and there are thousands of these steps available on our steps toolbox. And this is how we build workflows. We drag and drop these steps as per your business logic. We connect them, we configure them, and what you get at the end is an application that you're seeing today. Now I'm going to click on debug. So debug, you can also see it as our internal testing tool that lets you to test everything that you're building in the same paradigm. So I'm going to click debug. And the moment I click start debugging, it's going to execute the process. And as you can see in the backdrop, it's waiting at this step, which is the form step. And it has gotten all the list of clients from Salesforce, so it can display that on this form list. And you would see as I move my form around, the rest of the steps have not been triggered yet because it's asking for a user to pick which client do I want to run this handoff project document for. So in this case, I'm going to pick one of that. So let's go with the first one. And the moment I hit click submit, it actually starts processing that information. Now, since we are connecting to several systems, ChatGPT is going through transcripts, it can take a while. So I'm going to go into the Lucid chart and kind of help you understand how and what is happening behind the scenes of this project. Now, whenever we start any project in decisions, we usually start with building a process diagram for that. And I typically use Lucid chart for that. So what happens is it kind of helps us understand the business process before we start building it in decisions. Now, what you will notice here is when we trigger the process, this is the start step, which helps us to kind of say that this is where the process starts from. What happens is we make calls to several systems. In this case, we are connected to 3 systems. One is Gong. Gong is just a sales tool that helps us to save recordings to our call, help us analyze those calls, and kind of create a repository of every conversation we are having. And in turn, what Gong does is it saves those transcripts in Snowflake because there's a lot of data being generated. So so Gong needs a heavy database backend so that it can keep churning and saving that data without worrying about that. So we are connected with Gong. Gong in turn saves things on Snowflake. So this is the first system where we are getting the calls related data from Snowflake. And then the second system we are connected to is internal to decisions. This is how we manage our project management. So in decisions, you can create any kind of software. And we use decisions for our internal project management. You can use tools like Sana, or you can use tools like Tally for project
Mhm.
management. In decisions, we have our own inbuilt tool that we use. That kind of stores the whole user journey, when the project initiated and what are the different stages it is going through, all the notes which are captured. So we get all that data from our own existing system through an API call. And then finally, we talk to Salesforce, which is our CRM system, to get the information about the client, which could be the deal size, the use case, or any detail that we would like our internal users to access on one document. Now, once this process happens, we have all the data that we need. Then we start interacting with ChatGPT, the AI model in this example. So any project can have several calls. It could be 48, 50, hundreds of calls. But in this case, I have taken 5 important calls about a project. And these 5 important calls will help me answer the main question that I'm looking for. So the calls in this case is the project kickoff call, the scoping call, the project wireframing call, the project validation, and the project delivery call. And these calls will contain all the insightful information that I would want my external teams to utilize. Now, at each call, we make OpenAI ChatGPT REST service call, so that we get the summary and all the insights that we are looking for from the data which we have. And once it has churned through all the information, what we get at the end is a document which is going to have the project use case. It's going to have the executive summary. It's going to tell us that who are our champions at the client side, so that they can help us, upsell, or they can also help us understand or maybe win us in the client side. And we can also understand what are the detractors, what are some of the things that we should, take care of when we are discussing things or we are handling project with certain users. And
Mhm.
also tells us, what are the pain points from the customer side. And this is precisely the reason why they came to us. So my teams should be aware of what are the pain points. Why did they even come to decisions for solving a business case? And then it will also tell us the critical points for us. Now, these are the things that we have to keep in mind so that we can plan better and offer the best solution that we can offer. At the end, it's also going to give us a health score, which is going to be a number out of 1 of 10. And it'll help us analyze, what's the potential churn rate for this particular project or this client. And alongside, it also gives us recommendations because it has gone through a series of questions, churning through data and understanding the sentiment of the process. And it tells us, what are some of the recommendations. Now, the recommendations could be to help them train in certain areas of the tool. It could be to take care of their scalability aspect. So we are proactive in terms of addressing that need and retain that customer and avoid the churn rate. And once this document is generated, it could be sent to several teams. It could be downloaded or sent an email. And the usual teams in this case would be the customer success team, the customer support team, the professional services team, and the account management team, because these teams will keep on working with the client at different stages during its life cycle. So it's very important for them to be fully aware of what we have done so far and where we are moving. So this is what in the back end it looks like. This is how we kind of build the process. Yep. Any questions
This
there,
is
Danny? Yeah.
No, I really like this use case because the fact that it's building that 360-degree view of a customer that we're onboarding. We have all that information before we implemented this process internally. We had all that information, but it was siloed, right? It was in my notebook, it was in my Slack, it was a little bit in Salesforce, right? So being able to gather, you get your arms around all of that at the beginning, before we wouldn't learn some of the things that are a product of this report until much further down the line. Sometimes far enough down the line to where it had an impact on our relationship with our customer. Now, knowing all this before we even really get that relationship off the ground is so powerful. Really cool. Can you show us what the report looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go back to my previous tab, and you would see the output that would have been generated by ChatGPT. Now, before I show you that, you can see, all the different the steps in the process that ran
Mhm,
before we came to this final output, which is the internal project handoff document. So let me
mhm.
go through this document and kind of show you different sides of the same document that'll help different teams. Now, the objective of this document is to provide comprehensive insight into the project delivery journey so that we can set stage for success for any teams which is going to touch this client or this project at the later stages. Now, it's going to give you a quick overview of the client, who's the client, what's the deal size, and what service did they use, in this case, workflow plus rules, and what was the deal closure date, who are the primary contacts. If something goes wrong, who should we reach out to?
And we're
And then
getting that from Salesforce, right, Akshay?
exactly, this information comes from the CRM system,
Mhm.
100%.
Cool.
And then we kind of, describe the use case so that it's easy to understand by whoever is learning this about this project or this client at the first stage. And then we also create an executive summary so they can understand, what are the critical things that we talked about? Why are we kicking off this project? And what's the actual core need behind this whole exercise and this engagement? And then it's going to give us the champions for decisions, because whenever we are having our clients, it always comes down to a point that there will be some people who would fall in love with something that they see, and they would be able to have a vision of how this will help them. And these are the kind of people which helps to deliver your points across their organization internally. So this is how you can know which person to reach out to and how to best leverage their expertise. And then it's going to give us the detractors. Now, it could be, people saying there could be some sort of a skepticism, or it could be something that they would like to know more about decisions or any platform that they want to onboard. And these are very important people to have in the process, so that, we kind of prove them and give them the confidence that, we can solve this problem on a tool and kind of make them successful. So they are equally important as the champions in the process. And then once we have that, then it also tells us the customer pain points. Now, this helps us to understand, what were the initial pain points that they were having with their existing processes or their existing vendors that they have come to solve those. It could be, high maintenance costs. It could be complex implementation that they're having at their end, or their processes are not able to scale further. So with this insight, any team who touches this document would be well prepared and know how to go ahead and interact with them, how to kind of bring out more services, how we can solve them in their existing usage of services. And finally, these critical points helps us to understand what we need to do as a team internally to make sure that we retain the client and we kind of help them address their core needs in the process. And finally, as I mentioned, it's going to give us a health score. This health score is generated by churning again all the summarized data. It kind of builds a sentiment, why and what is being talked about in these calls. And it kind of smartly gives us a churn rate score. So you can see in this case, this particular project, churn rate is 7 out of 10, indicating that it's a medium potential for churn. It's still very low, towards the low side, but it kind of helps us have a number in mind so that we can prepare our strategy to kind of make and provide better solution and kind of help them understand more. And this right here again comes from the AI side, which helps us to understand how we can reduce churn and help retain the client. So in this case, it tells us that we can continuously provide the support and training and make them more hands-on on our platform so that they're able to use it into multiple workflows that they would like to build. And then we can help them implement robust security measures. We can help them understand their concerns about scalability. So these are some of the things that we can help them proactively without them coming into that situation where they are not able to scale. We'll go to them and tell them, hey, this is our plan and this is what we propose. So they are well prepared. So this is a very important document for all the teams that will touch this. And this is what we get at the end of this execution of this project.
That's really cool. I think one of the things that really stands out to me is this level of sophistication that we've developed internally in writing prompts to be able to determine things like detraction and intent, and um, to be aware of those things early in that customer lifecycle is so valuable, right? So you can be proactive as opposed to reactive. We started working with OpenAPI before we launched our OpenAPI module. In fact, at Decisions Days, which is a big shindig that we throw every year, big event where we bring a lot of customers together, we had a ChatGPT application contest, and it really spurred what we were doing with ChatGPT individually. So if you're thinking about this particular webinar that we've just delivered to you, think about how it could affect your customer lifecycle, or if you put it in the context of case management, how valuable this could be really for any case that's going on inside of your company. To be able to distill all of the data that you gather and have that knowledge before starting a relationship, dramatically going to increase the chances that that customer is going to be really happy and it's going to stay with you for a really long time. Tyler and anybody from the sales engineering team, do we have any interesting questions that popped up in the Q&A?
Yeah, there was some interesting question that Tyler is answering on the chat. At this point, I also want to mention that this was just an example of how you can orchestrate different processes. Your process can look totally different.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of platform. We are industry agnostic and we are solution agnostic as well. So we deal with customers from life sciences, finance, banking, insurance, and all the industries that you can think of. And they come to us and we help them build their workflows that help them to automate their processes, increase more efficiency, reduce the cost that they're spending on some of the the physical work that they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, why don't you go ahead and let me share really quickly, and I'll make one final plug here. And if I pull this up here, excuse me. And of course, it's not working. Hold on. I got it. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Sorry
Danny,
about
we
that.
can. Yep.
Worst transition ever.
No problem. We good. Yeah.
Thanks everyone so much for your attention today. Akshay, thank you so much, man. This is like I said, our level of sophistication in building prompts and leveraging different large language models in the decisions platform is really revolutionary. We're really excited about all the different use cases that are going to come about. If you're interested in learning about how you could use decisions to leverage AI to make your business run faster, smarter, better, the best way to do that is to reach out to us at sales@decisions.com, or just go on our website and schedule a demo. One of our great sales engineers like Akshay would be happy to answer all of your questions and show you how the platform could make your life better. Also, the next one in the series, in this customer lifecycle series, is going to be on Thursday, February 29th at 1 o'clock. So go sign up for that one and come see us down at the beach, March 5th through 7th at Decisions Submerse, our 3-day training event where we all get together and talk about all things decisions. Thanks so much for your attention, everyone. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for checking out Decisions, and have a great day.